Hey, it's Chris. Spoilers, no big crowdfunding coming this week. I mean, we'll still do the roundup when it comes next Friday, but this video is going to be a little different just for those reasons, right? As you see in front of you, I have a big stack of games, plus some other ones that aren't even in this picture. I'm going to give you some quick thoughts, quick impressions, quick imprints on them, because you want to know where things are at. A little bit of new, a little bit of all over the place, a little bit of old, and a little bit of just very, very interesting. Because some highs and some lows. Which are which, though? That's the question. Let's do this. So first up here, I got a big game package from Hatchet Board Games. And so one of those in this was Gosu X. Are you familiar with the two-player dueling style of games, Gosu? You have asymmetric decks. You choose two of them. You mash them together. You go against the opponent's other two. Two that aren't used contribute an asymmetric ability that is overarching both of you. Sounds simple. Sounds straightforward. Making levels and tiers of your cards because you can't have more on the second or third tier than you do on the first. Yeah, this game is forking amazing. I'll tell you right now, this game is going to be on my top 10 of the year. That's how good this game is. For me personally, as a heavy two-player dueling style game, this is awesome. Now, Hatchet already has put out that there's going to be a little expansion of one extra team in the near future. And I don't know, I'm going to order it because this is an awesome game. So that's first up. Now, this one, I don't even know. I grabbed the expansion box instead of the original. But Wiz War. Wiz War. That is my next game to play, and next game to play with the kids. And I, as you can see here, got a copy of Beastial Curses. I just need the Maleficide, I don't know, whatever one. I need the other expansion now. But is it just going to be crazy chaos goodness? Because 9th edition is kind of sitting in limbo on crowdfunding right now, and people are getting it delivered. But there's a lot of criticism on the guys behind Munchkin that did this, and whether or not Steven Jackson Games was going to actually put out a better edition as the 9th, or if you were better up getting the 8th. Either way, I got the 8th and expansion, so I'm super pumped and super excited about that from that aspect of things. Speaking of Hatchet Board Games, though, go back to another one. See, I wasn't kidding. Qawale. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. It's basically putting rocks on little pebbles. I don't know. Pebbles on little rocks, whatever. But it's a talk version of an abstract game. Now, the difference is you only have like 8 turns to make tic-tac-toe 4 in a row. But it's clever and it works. It's nothing super new, but it's like talk if you were just really, really short on time. Because you have to grab the stack and just go. So, again, this is a great game. Great game, great game. Very likely also going to be in my top 10 of the year. And this is the other interesting aspect of things, right? Of the games I've played in July, you know, you saw if you were watching the channel, I'll throw the link right above right now, that I put out my top 10 of the year games so far of 2023 because I put out my top games of 2022 in like May. And people were like, I don't know if we can still talk about games from 2022. That's old news, Chris. Well, yeah, I mean, you can. But I'll tell you right now, I've already played like 3 or 4 games that may dethrone 3 or 4 games from that top 10 list. And spoilers, there's one of them. Speaking of things, this, I guarantee you right now, mark this date, whatever this date airs. I put out there that this is going to be on people's top 10 lists at the end of the year. Race to the Raft from the City of Kings. The City of Cats is really where it's going. Just stick with the cats, Frank. Frank, just stick with the cats. You have an absolute massive smashing success with Isle of Cats. Race to the Raft is going to be better than that. Hard. This is a hard game. Do not be fooled with tile laying and trying to get your little kitties across the little board until the end. It's hard. Now, are all of the asymmetric missions different enough? I mean, that's where I haven't gotten far enough in the game to tell you yet from that aspect of things. But sleek design. The only thing I've seen, though, is the boards so far. The corners are starting to already get a little bit of wear after only 3 or 4 plays. So I'm a little bit worried about how that one's going to go, but we'll kind of see. This is the next one up that we're talking about, Stationfall. I'll be doing a giveaway. Ion Game Design sent me this, and I'm going to give a giveaway for those of you that are interested in this. Get your own copy of Stationfall, which reminds me, having looked at this game board now, I need the game mat. But this is, if I can learn it and play it this weekend, this is a game that's going to go to my cottage, and I'm going to try and teach my family it, maybe. it's either that or try and get a out of stock copy of Feed the Kraken right now, and haven't been able to do that yet either. So the ultimate preeminent multiplayer heavy social deduction game. Yeah, I'm super pumped about this one. Is it going to live up to my expectations? I don't know, but I'm going to do a little campaign. It's going to be like tag or subscribe and one of those things, but Ion Game Design showing me some love here with this one. Now we're going to go over here for a second, and we're going to go slightly sideways back to the co-op though, and we're going Maximum Apocalypse Wasted Wilds. Final judgment to be determined, but color me impressed. Color me impressed from this one. I wasn't sure what to expect. You know, I knew of the games, I knew of the crowdfundings, but I looked at this and I said, you see, it's like a slightly more complex version of Dead of Winter. Now, you are going to hear that and you're going to go, Chris, Dead of Winter sucks. I don't like Dead of Winter. You know what? I really like Dead of Winter. But this is doing something in a slightly more controlled, slightly less chaotic and random way, but still achieving some of those elements that you want. Now, this has a lot more mix and match and modularity in terms of the characters and the enemies and the decks, but I was really impressed so far by the asymmetric decks. Like, they are unique, and you get to find one that you like. I like the Assassin Thief. It's just like dealing damage, discard, and just bam, knocking out the bears left and right. Anyway, but it's a tile laying grid mover, and I think it's really, really clever. And so expect a full review shortly. The only question is, it's a little bit more setup teardown. Not terrible, but with the other co-ops in my collection, I'm just not sure if it's going to have the staying power right now. I'm not sure. I could very much see myself going either way, which, if you know anything about me, I love hard co-ops, right? I love chaotic co-ops. And for this to stay in my collection, it has to be really, really good. And it's really good. I'm just not sure if it's really, really good. Meaning, I'm not sure I would play it over other things. That's probably the biggest detriment, is it's a little too similar, a little much too much overlap in terms of when I want to play it. So that's going to be the only thing that I'm not quite sure of when it comes to that. Then we have Hamlet, which is over live running on Kickstarter with its upgrade kit and its expansion by the lake. Pick up and deliver. Pretty tiling. I don't know, guys. I don't know about this one. Final judgment again to be determined, but I can see myself going either way with this one in terms of, you know, it's doing just enough, but I'm trying also to not be as biased, because you've heard me say before, and no qualms about it, you know, I'm pretty open about what I like and I don't like, and pick up and deliver is not my forte. Pick up and deliver is not my mechanic of choice, if you will. And I have some mixed feelings. And I know a lot of people, big names, have said they really like this. I'm not sure how I'm going to fall and if I'm going to be one of those people or not. It's a little bit of a lukewarm reception right now for me, but I need to get it played a little more just to get my thoughts a little bit more ironed out. Again, not saying it's a bad game, but saying the fit for me, the fit overall, and you know, I'm going to pull a shelf side with some of my reviews upcoming with how good is this game, how good is this game for me, and the dichotomy between those two scores. Speaking of that, that is a perfect segue, because the other game, oh my gosh, this is by far and away the smallest game box of all the ones I've shown you, but it's by far and away the heaviest. Too Many Bones Unbreakable. I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with this one, folks. I'm sorry. Spoilers. Yeah. You'll see. I have a dedicated review in the process of editing and filming it right now for this one, and get your popcorn ready, folks. That's all I'm gonna say. So, what else we got going on? Oh, Undaunted, Battle of Britain, right up there. Again, it's probably a overall fantastic game, but thematically, I wonder if it's going to stay around for me, because as a whole, I'm not a huge war fan, but I can see myself keeping it because of the strategic asymmetry that goes along with it, with a little bit of the chaos as you're drawing cards to play on the battlefield. The ships, in terms of the airplanes, are giving you something a little bit more unique in terms of how they're having to maneuver and what you can do and how you have to actually play them on the board, simulating planes rather than just, you know, static figures. So I like those elements, but I don't know. Again, with lots of these games, And with this one especially, I mean, it gives a thematic incorporation there with the planes and the anti-aircraft and the slight difference between each side. It's very much like Maximum Apocalypse for me. It's going to be a very good game, but is it going to be enough of a good game for me personally? And that's, again, where my mileage may vary, and I'm not quite sure of or sold on it from that aspect of things yet. Okay, I had to go out of the room and come back and get the rest. And so this is what else we've got going on. Now, again, a little bit of everything. Bad Company, you know, the question always is, do you need this in Space Base? Yeah, I mean, they're significantly different. They're different enough that I feel like this can be in your collection. I may have some slight preferences towards this one. My wife, however, was not nearly as big a fan. Now, that's only with one playthrough, but she was not liking all of the different nuanced aspects that you're trying to control, as opposed to Space Base's more streamlined this and that. So that's going to be the question with this one right now. Because as my main gaming partner, if she really doesn't like the game, folks, it's not going to hit the table, which means you might as well chuck it. I can't actually do that. I have a pectoral injury. Otherwise, I'd toss the game and you'd hear loud clanking and things like that. And I don't want to damage the game, though. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. Now, you always hear me talk about, I'm going to trade for a game. I'm going to get a game. And I'm sure there's enough of you in the comment section and the viewing that don't comment at all that go, he's just BSing us, right? He's just BSing us to suck up to companies so that maybe they'll send him games. I'm sure that goes through your head as a cynic. You know what? And you've heard me talk about Garfield games and how I like them and how I've been interested, right? Like, here you go, folks. Most recent math trade. I got me a copy of Wayfarers of the South Tigris. Am I going to like it? I have absolutely no idea. Could I see myself trading it away in the next math trade in August? Absolutely. But you know what? That's kind of the fun of it, though, as well. You know, I'll pay shipping to try it out. I mean, it's board game rental, if you will, if nothing else. Not that I'm concerned about it, but there's going to be somebody else out there that's going to want this. So I'm going to try it. 60 to 90 minutes, 1 to 4 players. Yeah, I'm semi-excited, scared at the same time, right? Because if I like this, does that mean I'm actually going to like Scholars? And, you know, am I going to go get Redux that just is launching and finishing on crowdfunding? Because, again, I'm not a big, you know, spoilers, fan of the artwork in some of these, especially Redux. Like, I just don't, you know, Raiders, you know, Redux, just not a huge fan of that one at all. But as I've always said, gameplay trumps art. It's okay. And theme. So, you know, give me awesome gameplay, or let me rephrase that. Give me gameplay that I really, really enjoy, and I could care less what it kind of looks like. You know, one of my favorite games is sitting up there. It's one of the most aesthetically bleak looking and bland Japanese games you've ever seen. Rumble Nation, one of the first reviews I ever did on this channel. My favorite area control game, one of the most played non-kids games in my collection as well. So take that for what you will. Now, I mentioned Hatchet sending me games. Here's the third one, Tribes of the Wind. I have no idea where I fall on this one right now. I do not know. This one is a complete and utter conundrum for me. The tableau that you are doing with the cards that you are managing of the different elements, the interactions with the players on your left and your right, depending on the numbers of these elements that you have, they have, and you need, is just really weird, because there's a little bit of control and there's a little bit of, well, you know, I kind of draw it and see what I get sort of thing, which has a little bit of the Race to the Raft, which is what makes Race to the Raft so hard in the first place, right? Because you can pick the card that gives you the best chance of getting the thing you want, but you still might not get the thing you want. Blurring that line in a game like this can be very enticing. It can also be very off-putting, if you know what I mean. In terms of, my strategy is dependent on, I'm going to draw the thing I need. And I'm drawing the thing that should be the thing I need, because that's part of my, you know, game plan. And then when I draw the thing I need and I don't get what I need, even though the probabilities and the deck and the determination tells me I should, and I still don't get it, right? That's kind of where this one has me all over the place on. And so I don't know what's going to be the final judgment on this one right now. Of all the games so far to this point in this video, this is by far and away the most of a mixed bag for me, that I just do not know where I fall on it. The most of all of those other ones too, right? So take that for what you will. And then I just got this one in the mail, And this is a Game Crafter game. Peter Jenk sent me a copy, and Adventure Realms. And it's sort of, from the comment section, there was a lot of back and forth about this is heavily inspired by Dune Imperium. But it's a fantasy-based system with 2 expansions that he has taken and made his own as well. And so the interesting thing about this one was I was getting this one out today. I was unboxing it. I was, packaging it up, putting it together. My 9-year-old was like, hey, I want to play that. I was like, okay, well, I have all these. I had half of these games out that we just went through. And I was like, you want to play any of these? And he's like, no, I want to play this one. Right? Is it because it's pixel? It looks like a video game? And then I was like, buddy, it's going to probably take us over an hour to play. And then he's like, oh, okay, no way, I'll pass, Dad. But then we played Race to the Raft. But he was intrigued by it. I'm very intrigued by it. We're going to see where this one goes, too. Excited from that aspect of things. So, there you go. Oh, by the way, I got this sitting right here. 2 Summoner Wars decks. 2 Summoner Wars decks. We got the Swamp Orcs and the High Elves. Which, coincidentally, Plaid had just announced 2 more vampires, blood vampires. It's like called the Crimson Order or something. Crimson being blood. Anyway, and like the goat people, I forget. I'm not making that up. It's actually the goat people, but they have a better name than the goat people. But they were a faction from the first Summoner Wars as well. So they're not like completely new. They're just coming over as a port. So take that for what you will right now. So that's it. That is the stuff that is out there. And that's the stuff that I am going to be playing, talking about, or mentioning in the near future of my thoughts, opinions, and everything else in between. Rants and rambles included, right? So that is where things are at. That's what's on the back burner, the front burner, and everything in between cooking on the channel right now. So what do you think? Any of those games interest you? Again, obviously, I have a few others behind me that I still need to cover in more depth too. Bitoku, Legends of Void, Jerusalem. Never did the full review for Castles by the Sea. I've got a big box over there of Quacks of Quedlinburg I got in a math trade. I've got a bunch of this stuff that eventually will come out, and so we're going to see where this one goes sooner rather than later. I've been sort of a little bit lazy about filming reviews. It's a pain in the butt with a second camera, folks. It is. Don't be fooled. But that's okay. I just like talking about board games, so that's how we ended up in this place in the first place. So, that's all I got. Stay classy. Have a great day. Thanks for supporting me and watching me in the first place.